Hello and welcome to Crick Buzz. I'm Lisa Stalaker and I'm here to preview the historic match, a women's test match between India and England. Now we have to wind back the clock because 2014 was the last time that India played a home test. And the only two players that played in that are in the Indian squad now are Harmanpreet Kaur and Smriti Mandhana. Then you get a sense that India will be charting new waters because it will be the first time in over 20 years that Mithali Raj and Jhulan Goswami will not be in the Indian lineup. It means it creates opportunities for the next generation and I can't wait to see them. For England, it's been 18 years since they last played a test match on Indian soil. And when you speak to Heather Knight, she talks about bucket list opportunities. And one of them is to play a test match in India, simply because you want to test yourself in the hardest format, in the hardest conditions, and India will hopefully produce that. When you look at both sides, they don't get an opportunity to play multi-format games domestically. The last time the Indian domestic players played two-day cricket or red ball cricket was 2018. For England, you've got to go back even further. So maybe some of those players have been exposed a little bit in their early days of their career. You're asking the playing group of both sides to be able to switch from the T20 format straight into a test match. And whilst the coaching staff will want them to play a certain way, we've already heard Smriti Mandhana talk about mindset, about being able to be in the moment and be able to be patient because you have a lot of time on your hands. For the England side, they've got a lot of experience because they get to play against Australia in the Ashes every couple of years. So their playing group has played a lot of test cricket. We will see plenty of debutants still, and it will be a huge occasion for those players to get out there to put on the baggy blues or to wear their whites. Given the lack of test cricket that both sides have played, they're going to rely heavily on their coaching staff. And for England, John Lewis, he's played over 250 games of first-class cricket, and Amol Mazumdar over 170. These are two guys that know the game so well and have been able to coach at various levels in the men's game as well and be very successful. So they will take that knowledge, the tactics that you need when you're playing four-day cricket to be able to really push and challenge the players. And I think the players will lean on those guys heavily. In terms of preparation, the Indian side, well, they had an opportunity to play against India A in a camp in Bangalore in November, but then they went off and played white ball cricket, whether it be WBBL or inter-zone matches, and they're going to have to be able to flick over pretty quickly. For England, they haven't had that opportunity, no real practice matches to speak of, but they did play a test match against the Australians and Australia got up in that, but they would have learnt so much about the game just from that one encounter. When you look at the two sides, you've got to look to the senior players to lead the way. And for England, well, they've got some senior players that have been really successful in the test format. Heather Knight, I've seen her score hundreds against the Australian side. Tammy Beaumont is coming off a double hundred. And Sophie Ecclestone, it doesn't matter what format she plays in, she is just an outstanding bowler and collects wickets for fun. And she's probably hoping that the D.Y. Patel ground gives a little bit of assistance and bounce and spin to her and her fellow spinners. For India, there's been a handful of players that have been given the opportunity just to continually work on the red ball and practice and train accordingly. Four-day cricket is very tiring physically, and for India, just think they've got this test match and then literally a couple of days later they're playing against the Australians. So it's a huge workload. So I would expect maybe a bit of a rotation from a bowling perspective. Meghna Singh, she can swing the ball and hopefully she gets an opportunity to play the test format. I think she might be really lethal, but has she got the skills to be able to be effective when the swing goes? Shafali Verma will play one way, and that will be aggressive cricket. And if that's the case, and I sense that both teams want to play aggressive cricket, we're going to see an outcome. and that is only going to be beneficial for the women's format going forward, because we want to see results in Test cricket. But just remember, that haven't had an opportunity to really play this format, and they're learning on the job. It's a huge task in front of millions of people that will be watching on the broadcast, but certainly it will be one that you want to switch on and watch. It is going to be an historic Test match, and one that I can't wait to watch. Make sure you tune into CricBuzz for all of the scorecards and then the recap at the end of the Test match. See you then.